shotglassdigital.com.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 96 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Why does a stormtrooper smell like a hot dog?
Hashtag 12 days of Star Wars, because we will be out there for 12 days.
Now, I think I've had more fast food in 1999 than I ever had in my life.
We both have Disney antenna balls on our cars right now.
That's put two daughters through college, so I appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Listen.
A billion years in the making.
Welcome to Neverland.
What do you know?
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll kiss 3 bucks goodbye.
Hey, Skywalkers! Thank you so much for coming back to Skywalking Through Neverland. And welcome to any and all new Skywalkers out there. We are the family-friendly Star Wars Disney podcast that brings you entertaining stories from creators and fans. This is Richard, and please everyone say hello to my trick or treat wife, Sarah.
Is that me?
That's you. Well, who else would it be? Ashley?
Nope. That would be a trick.
You can. Oh, there you go. See, then you're my treat wife.
Aww.
Problem solved.
Aww. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming back and supporting the show throughout all of social media. We love it when you tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. And now, if you're listening, you're officially a Skywalker. So congratulations, you're part of the family. Oh, you are now part of the tribe.
That's what I always wanted.
Yay.
We are recording this from Long Beach, California on October 13th, 2015. And if my math serves me, what is that, 18 more days until Halloween?
This is Halloween, this is Halloween.
Ooh, okay.
Is that right? 18 more days?
I have no idea. You're the math person.
Carry the one. Yep, 18 more days. Nice. Now, coming up on this week's show, we talk with marketing genius Pat Pattison, who has worked on campaigns from Star Wars to Disney, and chances are you have some of his creations hanging on your car antenna right now.
Yeah, he created the antenna balls from Disneyland and Jack in the Box. Like, he was so cool to talk to.
We also talk Halloween memories with our good friend from down under, Adam O'Brien of Jogcast Radio.
That was super cool. And then we also have an update from Ric Peralta of liningup.net about where fans in Hollywood will be lining up. Will it be the TCL Chinese Theatre or Disney's El Capitan, which are right across the street from each other?
Decisions.
Mm-hmm. Now we also have shout-outs, the Skywalker of the Week, and we go skywalking on TV.
But now, here are things we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Last week, my fangirl friend Tricia Barr paid a visit to Disneyland along with her co-host BJ Priester. They're on Hyperspace Theories podcast together. And they were both on their way to Geek Girl Con in Seattle, but decided to stop at Anaheim.
Made a little detour where we all got to go to the Mickey's Halloween party.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know what this is, every year Disneyland has got a special campaign where they close off the park at about 6 p.m.
Yes, and it's a ticketed event afterward.
Of course it is.
Yes.
And you get to go trick-or-treating all around Disneyland.
Yeah, and they have fun music playing. They have the Cadaver Dans singing.
They pretend to terrorize, but how can we ghosts come out to socialize?
And my favorite part, we get to wear costumes.
Yes, that's the only time adults can wear full costumes at Disneyland. And so, what do we go as?
I was either going to go as BB-8, but it'd be really hard to get on the rides.
Yes.
But I went in my favorite Anakin Skywalker costume.
Yeah, that's the outfit that I met you in.
That's why it's my favorite.
Yeah. And I went as Jedi Tink. Yay. And BJ had a shirt with BB-8 on it. So he was BB-8. And Tricia went with as Asajj Ventress. So she was wearing her Universe hoodie. Asajj Ventress hoodie.
So it was a great night of trick-or-treating. We got lots of candy, but we're on the no candy diet. So we'll end up giving it all away to the neighborhood kids.
Yes. And so it was really fun because we went on Space Mountain Ghost Galaxy, which will eventually become Hyperspace Mountain.
More on that later.
Yes, but right now it's Ghost Galaxy. And that was fun. We have a great picture of us, in our costumes. And also, we went on Star Tours right after that. Guess who was the Rebel Spy?
Let's skip over this part. Needless to say, it wasn't me. Again.
Nope. Jedi Tink is very popular as the Rebel Spy. You know what? It's not really like she's a spy, though. It's kind of like obvious.
Yeah. Like, who's the Rebel Spy? Oh, Jedi Tink, of course. She's sitting right there.
Yeah.
So this is not your first time.
Nope.
This is not your second time being the Rebel Spy.
Nope.
Is it your third time?
Nope.
Is it your fourth time?
Yep. You should see his face. He's never been the Rebel Spy.
Never been the Rebel Spy. Tricia has been the Rebel Spy.
Yes, at least once.
I'm not sure if BJ has, but he doesn't go as many times as I do.
No, it's true.
I try all of my game faces. I try the serious. I try the smiling. I try the pensive. I try the not looking right at the camera. I try everything.
Yeah.
But yet, I'm just destined never to be the Rebel Spy.
You know what, Richard? You were sitting there with Jedi Tink.
That's very true. You know what? Next time you can't sit next to me. Next time, if I were on the ride alone, I still wouldn't be picked.
Oh, but then that would be no fun if you were on the ride alone, because then your face would come up and you'd go, "Oh!" and no one else would.
At least my chances would be better.
Yeah. You know what? It's really fun. It's sad when someone's face comes up and no one says anything. So it was really cool when my face came up and our whole row was like, "Yeah!" So that was cool.
It was cool. As jealous as I am, I'm very glad it was you.
Okay, yay! Not one of those little kids in front of us.
No, they skimmed over the kids and said, "Hey, does Jedi Tink? She's from Skywalking Through Neverland. We got to get her."
Yes. So that was a super fun night and day, and
we're so glad that Tricia and BJ were here to share that.
Absolutely, yeah. So it was just great. Loved it.
And the fun continued the next day because they were here the next morning. So we figured, let's go do a morning Disney day trip.
Yeah, which we never do. We got there right at rope drop. It was cool.
Yeah, and the wait for lines were 3 minutes. I've never been on more rides.
Yeah.
I think I was on more rides when Tricia and BJ were here for those 2 days than I had been the whole year.
I agree, because we never go on rides. we just wander around and eat.
And shop.
It's true.
So we're going to get them here more often.
Yeah. Yay. Well, coming up soon, we'll tell you a little bit more about another Disney trip we have planned.
I didn't even remember half those rides were still there.
Oh? Yeah? Well, let's move on to the next thing we want to share.
All right, what I want to share was our experience at Star Wars Reads Day.
Yay!
This happened last Saturday, October 10th, and Sarah and I were at the Santa Fe Springs Library here in Los Angeles, and we were the Jedi Master and the Princess Face Painter. So I taught the kids how to use lightsabers. They had the foam noodles, so I taught them some Jedi moves. Eliza Peralta was there, and we're going to hear from her dad in just a little bit, and no matter how much I prodded her, she still wouldn't give up the answer to who is the voice of Chopper.
I can't tell ya!
I thought being the Jedi Master, she would have to obey. Nope. She's like a little Ahsoka.
And what did you read that day?
I brought all of our books, the golden books. The golden books we got at D23 Expo. I thought I'll read one or two.
The Star Wars golden books?
The Star Wars, yes. And I brought them out and the kids were like, "Oh my God." Every one of them wanted me to read Attack of the Clones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went through all of them. They all wanted Attack of the Clones, but then I got to Revenge of the Sith. And they're like, all right, never mind. We want Revenge of the Sith. And how do you kids know about Revenge of the Sith? You're under 13 years old. So I had a stern talking to with their parents and said, right on.
Yeah, right.
So the kids and I all acted out the scenes. I selected the kids, and each one of them had their own role to play.
Oh.
And we ran around the library being Millennium Falcons and speeder bikes and X-Wings and TIE fighters.
And you ran around me. I was at the face painting table as Princess Leia, face painting all 2 hours. I had a full line going.
Yeah, you nailed that BB-8.
Yeah, that was fun.
And Eliza got the
Firebird
Firebird
from Star Wars Rebels.
From
yeah,
Sabine's
a lot of girls wanted that
Yeah.
one. That was cool. And I did some Darth Vaders. I got pretty good at Darth Vader. And when someone asked for Yoda, I'm like, oh boy. So, but I did manage to do some Yoda heads. That was fun.
Now, this library really went above and beyond. They had so many, not just stations with Star Wars crafts, but like high-end Star Wars crafts.
That's true.
And I do a lot at this library, and they just pull out all the stops.
Well, they did. You could make headbands with either Yoda ears or Princess Leia buns on them, like out of construction paper. It was so cute.
They were just so detail-oriented.
Yeah. Like, wow, where did they get that? And the signs they had, like, they had some serious stuff going on. So, yeah, it was really amazing.
So I'm very thankful for some Skywalkers who did come on out there. So thank you very much. And thank you to the Santa Fe Springs Public Library for having us for Star Wars Reads Day 2015.
And that is our things we want to share.
All right, everyone. It's our favorite time of the year, Halloween.
Yay!
And when you think Halloween, you think trick-or-treating.
Definitely.
And what better way to go trick-or-treating than to visit other podcasts?
I think that's a great idea.
So,
and what better way to do that than to have a contest where you could win stuff?
Yeah, we get stuff, they get stuff.
Yeah.
So this is our Trick-or-Treat Spooktacular Podcast Crossover Contest. And it really began last Sunday, the 11th, with the Muppet Cast.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah and I will go trick-or-treating. We've already gone trick-or-treating at some shows.
Yes.
And what we do is we go to visit our friends. We have a little chat with them.
Mm-hmm.
We do what they want to do because it's their show.
Yeah, we do about a 10-minute segment.
And then at the end, they give us a clue, which we in turn give to you.
Right. They give us a treat.
They give us a treat, and that is the clue that you will need to win this big, giant, overstuffed Sony Animation Studios bag full of prizes.
Yeah, so exciting. So Skywalkers, this is how you can participate in the Trick or Treat Spooktacular Podcast Crossover Contest. So first of all, listen to this show, this entire segment, then head on over to Muppet Cast, Window to the Magic, Assembly of Geeks, Coffee with Kenobi, and Techno Retro Dads. Now, some of these shows aren't airing until October 19th, so just keep an eye out. I will be promoting each show on social media.
Muppet Cast already aired their episode on the 11th,
Mm-hmm.
and then on October 14th, Assembly of Geeks will air their segment where you can get their clue.
Coffee with Kenobi will air on October 16th, and you can get another clue from them. And then Window to the Magic and Techno Retro Dads are both scheduled to air on October 19th.
So really, this is kind of like a hidden treat for everyone because we want to share all these other great shows with you.
Yes.
So it's our treat to you in case you don't listen to Window to the Magic, Assembly of Geeks, Coffee with Kenobi, or Techno Retro Dads, or Muppet Cast. This is a great great introduction to their shows.
Yeah. So what we want you to do, once you have assembled all these clues, you're going to want to head over to our Facebook page, Skywalking Through Neverland, and input the clue for each show beside each show name, the box beside each show. You'll see what to do on the giveaway tab. You can also, there is one box where you unscramble the clues that you get.
And you put them together and it's like, what could this mean?
What could this mean to a Star Wars Disney fan?
Yeah, it'll be extremely obvious.
Hopefully.
Yes.
So we are excited to share that with you. And and we also have to tell you, because it's Halloween, we have to have a costume party.
Yes, we do.
So all these clues, once you have entered into the contest, on October 22nd at 6 p.m. Pacific, we are going to have a Google Hangout costume party. So wear your best fun headgear, because that's what we'll see of you. And join us for an hour-long costume party in which we will reveal the winner of the big prize.
And once again, this is one of these stuffed Sony Animation Studios bag that they gave us for the Hotel Transylvania 2 press junket.
But we're also going to add some things
we're
like
gonna add a lot of things.
Some Skywalking Through Neverland buttons, maybe BB-8 ears buttons. ones?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Star Wars Rebels Season 1 Blu-ray DVD we just got at another press conference.
Yeah, and maybe a few more
well, hold on.
items.
This is a big bag, so we're going to stuff this.
Yes.
It's going to cost like $50 just to ship. Now, as we go out trick-or-treating, what costume are you going to wear?
Oh, me? Oh, I'm going to change it up for each podcast.
You know, I like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like when I was a kid, I would always change up my costumes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You can never decide on just one.
So yeah, we have to wear our BB-8 to one of them. Jedi Tink, of course. What else? What else should I wear?
You know what? They have to listen to find out what costumes I'm going to be wearing.
Okay. Now, but Richard, we need to give them a treat.
We do need to give you guys a treat. All right, listeners, open up your Halloween treat bags.
Yep, this is your very first treat from Skywalking Through Neverland.
And your clue for the big podcast crossover contest is the letter 2. Wait, the number 2.
Okay.
The number 2 is your clue from Skywalking Through Neverland. So you need 5 more. So once again, you have to go to Muppetcast, Window to the Magic, or as Paul Barry says, Window to the Magic. Assembly of Geeks, Coffee with Kenobi, and Techno Retro Dads.
All right. We're out, Skywalkers. Have fun trick-or-treating at those other episodes.
Now, before we talk with Disney and Star Wars marketing genius Pat Pattison, we want to thank the Skywalkers who sent in their favorite fan moment clips for our upcoming 100th episode. But we still want more.
We need lots. We need lots and lots.
So once again, we're asking everyone to pick a favorite or most memorable fan moment.
From their lives.
Whether it be a Star Wars, Disney, or pop culture reference from your personal fandom.
Yes.
So did you see maybe Return of the Jedi and it just that one part of Jedi just really struck a nerve with you that catapulted your fandom? Did you read a comic book that said, hey, you know what? I want in on this whole geek culture?
Yeah, was it the first time you went to, say, Disneyland or Disney World? Or was there a particular moment? Or did you meet someone that, brought you together with fandom? Something like that.
And you have to do it within 1 minute.
That's right. That is your time limit. And now, if there are 2 of you talking together, you get 2 minutes. So it's
Right.
1 minute per person.
Yeah. And, let's, if you're going to say like a movie was something big, make it a little bit more personalized. It was this movie because of, it reminded me of this. And so it's not just as broad. You can do that too. We just want really, really personal, fun, memorable experiences from you.
Yes, and we want it all talking. So no written ones. We need you to speak and say your name and where you're from and your fan moment all within a minute. And what you can do, what's easiest to do really, everyone has smartphones, right? If you just go to your voice memos and you record a voice memo, you can see exactly how long it is there. And then right after you save your voice memo, there's always an option to email it. So what you want to do is email those memos to share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. And we will get them. We've already gotten quite a few. So thank you, but we need more. We need a lot.
And as an example, if I were doing it, I would say, hey everyone, this is Richard Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland. And my most memorable fan moment is...
blank.
Just like that. So your name, if you're with a podcast or a blog site.
Yeah, please promote
that. If you're not, then hi, this is Richard Woloski from Long Beach, California, and my most memorable fan moment is...
Yeah. Or you would probably say, hi, this is Richard Woloski, 1977 Star Wars fan, original fan.
I would say, hey.
Well, yes, you would.
Woloski.
Yes.
And then, now continue.
And then you would say something like, original 1977 Star Wars fan or something like that.
I would say classic.
There you go.
First generation.
Yes.
Vintage.
Yeah,
okay,
just for the heck of it. Yeah.
All right, everyone, get recording, and thank you very much in advance.
Be our guest, be our guest. Put our podcast to the test. Gather round the microphone and we will do the rest.
Some people are happy with just one big accomplishment in their lives. Imagine having several spanning from Disney to Star Wars to Jack in the Box.
Our next guest has created award-winning merchandise promotions for some of the biggest marketing campaigns ever, including the production of the Phantom Menace fast food premium promotion.
Everyone, please say hello to the founding partner of the Incentive Plus Network, Mr. Pat Pattison. Hey, Pat.
Hey, guys, how are you? Richard and Sarah, nice to have me on.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're so excited to have you on Skywalking Through Neverland. And
yeah,
I mean, you have such a great marketing background.
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've gotten to work around some of the best entertainment properties ever and continue to be in the business. I really came out of local television. I worked at KTTV here in Los Angeles, and then I just kind of climbed the corporate ladder, worked at a couple other TV stations, and then ended up at Disney at the studios doing marketing for the TV shows there. And then I went to the resorts division and started doing creative services at Disneyland. And what happened there is really these two worlds collided for me. And those two worlds were entertainment, movie and film, three-dimensionally rendered as merchandise. So a lot of what I did at Disneyland was to work with some of the merchandise designers to start coming up with ideas that was product around entertainment. And I'd always loved that area. I'd really only dabbled in it, but once I was a total geek as a kid. I was a famous Monsters of Filmland nut. I got to know Forey Ackerman, who I don't know if you know that.
Oh yeah, very well.
Or what it was to us kids in the 60s. But, I built all the Aurora monster models, and, so I was just primed for something like this. And so it segued into a business for myself, which is where I started doing fast food promotions, because those were kind of the big holy grail of merchandising. Was you could do 100, or you could do 200, or you could do 36 million. Which do you want to do? So I was fortunate. I also was head of licensing for Applause Toys along the same path, which I don't know if you remember Applause.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we did a lot of vinyl collectible dolls. It was mainly known for plush, but when I was there, we got into a lot of collectibles and whatnot. So really, what my expertise became is what is the ancillary income for an entertainment property, and there's just no better place to learn that than Disney, and then subsequently, working on some of the Star Wars properties and also Lord of the Rings. Very lucky.
Wow.
It sounds like you and I had the same kind of upbringing, because I loved Monster Magazine, and I loved all the MPC and Aurora model kits. And as a kid, and I don't know why, but the Star Wars promotions and the campaigns at fast food places and with Kenner, those always had such a huge fascination for me. Couldn't put my finger on it, but I just loved the way they would have their contests or their giveaways, and Burger King would have their glasses and their posters. So it's fun to hear your story. Now, what was the inspiration for you going into the marketing field? What was the one thing while growing up you said, "Oh, I know what I want to do"?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I really wanted to be, in the production end of film and television. I liked that. I was going to be a movie director. I mean, I studied film and whatnot, but when I got my first television job, the marketing end of it appealed to me because I have a very short attention span. quite literally, I joke about that, and yet it's probably one of my greatest assets. What's the dog and up? Squirrel. That's me. And as a marketer, what's so great is you get to work on multiple projects at a time. You really are only involved when they're done, almost. In the case of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, they were almost done. And you get to do them. You put the marketing out, either the show or the film succeeds or fails. It's kind of out of your hands by then, and you get to move on. But I do think, Richard, that I've always been an artist. I've always painted, I've drawn, I've always done things with my hands. I think it was the tactile part of toys, the touching, the three-dimensional piece that appealed to me over film and television, because I could have really done either. I could have gone in either direction, and I primarily ended up in merchandising.
Wow, yeah, like speaking as a kid, if you go and get a Happy Meal to get something extra that you can take away from your meal, that's like awesome.
Yeah, and that was something, that was a brainchild really of McDonald's. I mean, there's always been gift with purchase. I mean, it goes back to Cracker Jacks, with the fries in every box. But the idea that two things happened. One was there was this idea that we're going to give out something with the meal. And that certainly would affect sales for fast food. But probably the bigger dynamic that the studios realized, and certainly George Lucas, Disney, and creative early adapters like that, realized that if McDonald's or Taco Bell was the one that I worked on, Taco Bell is promoting Phantom Menace in their commercials, they're basically giving Star Wars free media time.
Right.
So it evolved into, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, that's the reason the studios, they're basically letting, fast fooders underwrite a good piece of their media promotion. They're doing commercials for the movie, but then you've got somebody else doing commercials for your movie on your behalf. And it's a very complicated financial piece now, depending on whether you have a property that people want or one that maybe they don't want so much.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, who pays for, say, the Phantom Menace promotion in Taco Bell? Is that Taco Bell or is that Lucasfilm?
Yeah, Taco Bell does.
Okay.
There's a Yum, this is Yum Brands. It was across 3 properties. It was across KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. And they negotiate, for the 3 films, and there's a substantial sum. But that's Star Wars. Some of these might be in-kind trades where, look, we're going to spend $10 million in media to promote your movie, so we want that factored into what we would be paying you in toy royalties. And I don't know if you guys know, how kind of licensing and royalties work in the entertainment industry, or if you want me to get into that.
Sure.
But yeah, well, you guys create a character, the 2 of you, and you copyright it, you trademark it, and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, I'd like to make a toy out of that character," and you say, "God, that'd be great. Here it is. We want it to look exactly like we have it copyrighted and trademarked. What are you going to do with it?" "Well, I'm going to make 10,000 of them, and I'm going to sell them at the Long Beach Comic-Con." And so what you would negotiate on your behalf is a percentage of those sales to come back to you as the owner of the intellectual property. It keeps you out of the manufacturing business. You don't have to buy inventory. You don't have to end up with a bunch of toys that didn't get sold that you have to take out to the swap meet. But they, meaning the manufacturer, because they're taking the bigger risk, they get the profit on the toy itself. In the case of a Mattel or Hasbro, that's basically what they're doing on a very large scale.
Right now, do you think it was Star Wars that really turned the tide in how studios market entertainment, whether it be films or television?
I think it returned the tide. I think Disney, with all the Mickey Mouse merchandise, was really the beginner, the most consistent. I mean, there were certainly ones that went back pre that, there's always been merchandise around film properties. You can point to Davy Crockett in the 50s, Coonskin Cats.
Right.
So that dynamic's always been there. What happened in '77 with Star Wars, I think, is that this was, sci-fi was this little niche, and it was geeks like you and me, Richard, in our rooms building models, and we knew about this stuff, and we liked it, and we went out and saw the movie 3 or 4 times. but Time Magazine put Star Wars on its cover and said the best movie of the year. And everybody went to see Star Wars. I mean, I remember it very well back then. And suddenly it was okay to be a geek. Suddenly other people were into this amazing property. So
yeah,
that I think was really the beginning.
So now let's talk about the Phantom Menace promotions in 1999. Now, I think I've had more fast food in 1999 than I ever had in my life. In fact, my friends and I, in our mid to late 20s, would spend Friday nights going from Taco Bell to KFC to Pizza Hut just to collect all the toys.
Did you like the cup toppers better or the small toys?
That's a good question. I'm going to go with the small toys just because they were easier to display. Now, in my office here, I've got a huge shelf with every single Taco Bell and KFC and Pizza Hut toy.
You got them all, right?
I think I'm just missing the Sith Holo projector.
Oh, no.
I could never find that.
Wow. God, and I just threw 10 of those away last
night.
Oh, I'm kidding.
I nearly fell over. No, I'm even going back to when I was a kid. I've always been a huge fan of the fast food promotions. So let's talk about the Phantom Menace. When did that start? When did they come to you? And was it difficult working on something so secretive?
Yeah, it was, and I don't want to take too much credit for that particular program. It was a team of us, and so, what happened with that particular one is, because there was so much secrecy around it, because it was the first one coming out in 20 years, or less, a little bit less than that, but, the characters, we got information about the characters themselves. So there was nothing that there were no spoilers involved in what we got to know. And then we had our team of designers and sculptors had to come up with basically things for those characters to do, the things that are sitting on your shelf, rocket launcher and whatnot. And so then those would go up to Skywalker Ranch, and, the people that did know the plot, would say, yeah, that's appropriate, or that's not, or, you can't do this. And it's funny because it was a very similar situation with Lord of the Rings, right almost about the same time, maybe a year or two after, where they were shooting all three films at the same time over in New Zealand, and we were operating upper rushes and, very, very rough art to do the sculpts and to do the things that came out about it. Wow. But they have the leverage, really, in terms of something so secretive. The studios have the leverage of, well, gee, if you blow this, well, you're not going to work with us again. Oh. And so you have a very high ethic among yourself and your staff in terms of what you're going to do and who's going to know it.
Right. So you didn't know any of the plot. You just
saw the characters. And go, I think this function would work.
Yeah, very rough outlines like that in terms of what character, might do this and what character might do that.
Okay.
Was anything turned down? Any of the concepts?
Yes, there were, because being good toy people, we would try to slip in things that we knew are easier to build. And cheaper, and and these properties get into little tiny minute when you're pricing this all out, these things have to cost pennies basically for it to be something that they can give away profitably, so you get into like the gram weight of the plastic and how many screws might be in something, and it gets very detailed.
Wow. So what was your part in all of this?
Well, I I was the head of the department that did this particular one. I was the head of the department that did this for Applause Toys.
Okay, so did you do any actual sculpting, or were you kind of looking over
the designs?
Yeah, all of that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So jack of all trades.
And we don't. I'm not. Although I do sculpt, I'm not. I mean, we have very highly trained sculptors that do that type of thing. So, you know, as the licensing person, I would be helping facilitate to make sure that these things match the expectations of the studio.
There were about 32 of these premiums, going from the little wind-up toys to the squishies to the cup toppers. Was there like maybe 50 or 60, and you whittled it down to 32, or however many it was?
Yeah, there was actually. There were a lot of other ideas, and quite honestly, you know, there would be things that as we'd got to get down the line, we'd realize, you know what, this isn't going to work, or this isn't quite as exciting as we'd hoped it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And so some would get changed. You know, they would get cast off. You know, I remember the rocket launchers with the billows. You know, it was an ongoing process to get those to be able to fire, you know, properly.
Okay.
So there would be things that we just kind of like, oh, we better improve this quick. You know, it's like I said, you're dealing with something where you're doing so many units that you got to get it right.
Right. Did you have a favorite?
Oh boy! It's just because Jar Jar Binks was so maligned. You know, I think Jar Jar's my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah, love the Jar Jar Binks water squirter.
Yeah, I always gotta go for the underdog.
Right.
Underdog.
Was there a particular favorite of George Lucas's?
Boy, that I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think that we got that feedback directly. You know, part of the challenge with a property like this is that this particular property, you know, and I think this has been true for a couple of films since then. There was so much buildup around it. There was just it was almost impossible for him to deliver on what was expected. And you know, you might recall it was kind of, people didn't, you know, it wasn't that good, you know, or it wasn't, you know, I think they'd been expecting the second coming.
Right.
And anything less than that was a disappointment. So, you know, there's a lot of this, there's a lot of landing and beating of the drum, you know, and that could happen with the current one that's happening, you know. It's doubtful, and everybody seems very high on, you know, Abrams' ability to do this, but it can happen. And the marketing can almost cause fatigue around a property, so it's kind of a fine line you have to walk.
Let's take a quick break from our conversation with marketing and advertising guru Pat Pattison to hear about some other great podcasts.
Crisis for the geek kind. Top geek officials admit they underestimated the hipsters' defense capability. Join the geek revolution and save the galaxy. Geeks from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future. They're doing their part. Are you? Want to know more? Join Weeby Geeks and the Geek Revolution and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship. Listen to Weeby Geeks podcast on iTunes and Stitcher or online at WeebyGeeks.net. Weeby Geeks, your voice for the Geek Revolution. Want to know more?
The galaxy's most legendary heroes, fearsome villains, and coolest vehicles. Now available to take home and play with at Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell. Right now, at participating Taco Bell locations, you can get one of these cool Star Wars Episode 1 collectible toys, one in every Taco Bell kids meal you buy.
And now, back to the man who designed and created some of our favorite collectibles, Pat Pattison. In the case of The Phantom Menace, there was just 16 years of fan expectation and build-up on how they wanted the movie to go. So no matter what, you had to please a billion people in the world.
Plus a billion people who wanted to recapture their childhood, but they're watching a movie when they're not 8 years old anymore.
Never gonna happen.
Well, you hit a good one, Sarah. I mean, it's kind of like sometimes you go back and go, "Oh, I love this film when I was a kid," and it's like, "Ooh, that was
yeah, exactly."
My little 8-year-old brain was much more liberal with its likes and dislikes.
Yeah, really. Now, speaking for all the collectors out there, were there any prototypes of these premiums made that didn't quite make the manufacturing level that's sitting somewhere in a warehouse?
Oh, well, they probably exist with some of the artists. I know, some of them get tossed, some of them get destroyed. But yeah, you can find this stuff. It's funny. I, having done the Jack in the Box and a number of other toy programs, I often go to toy fairs and buy my own samples back.
Like what? What did you buy back?
Jack in the Box. We did the first antenna balls, and we did some Pez dispensers for them, and I just didn't keep any.
Oh.
So every once in a while I have to go back to a toy fair, or in the case of the Jack in the Box balls, they're still selling them, but I'll find samples of toys that I just, for whatever reason. When you're in my business, you're always giving those samples away to get the next job from somebody. So eventually you reach in the box and go, "Oh, that was my last Pez dispenser," or whatever.
All right.
Which was one of my great, one of the seminal moments of having fun in my career was negotiating and being back at the Pez factory back in Connecticut. That's something not to be missed if you're a Pez collector.
You said negotiating the what?
Yeah, we did Jack in the Box, and then we also did some plush versions of Pez dispensers.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Talk about something that really took off, and I'm sure it was unexpected that those Jack antenna balls just exploded. Every second car had one of those on.
It was very gratifying that it was so successful, and that was when I had my own business, which was promo toys. I had left the studios by then, and what it was working with Chia Day, which was their ad agency, which had decided to bring the character of Jack back. He I don't know if you grew up here, but he'd been blown up previously. Some marketing people had decided that he was too corny or old-fashioned, and so they made a big deal out of blowing him up and removing him from all the stores. I don't know if you're aware of that campaign, but you can go on YouTube and find him blowing up Jack.
I've never heard of this. I'm interested to see that.
It would be very politically incorrect now, but back then it was okay.
Yeah, I can recall in the 70s as a small kid seeing there was like one Jack in the Box in the Boston area, and it had a big picture of that Jack character.
Yeah.
And I was amazed when they brought it back.
Yeah, and then you also pulled up to another version of that character. Was the speaker you talked into was this clown coming out of a box. And so then Chia Day, which was the hip agency back then, they created that CEO we know now. That character that has a human body and is in a suit and is kind of rolls his eyes at all his employees. And so one of the ideas was, gee, when you're the CEO, you can do anything you want, and that includes making an antenna ball of yourself that you put on your Cadillac. It was very hard to convince them to manufacture those.
Oh, really?
In terms of Jack in the Box, they came to us and they said, well, people are going to steal them, and our biggest concern is they're going to fall off the cars and do damage, and we're going to get sued. And so we went back to him, and he said, well, if somebody steals them, that means you have 2 antenna balls out there instead of 1, because the person that bought the first was probably going to replace it. and then we also showed them if we made them out of the soft EVA foam versus a hard plastic, that they wouldn't damage anything. So that's why one of the reasons why they're and that was one of the big innovations we brought to it, is we made them out of the soft neoprene, like it's called EVA foam. That's a softer material, which is what we ended up doing all the Disney antenna balls out of as well.
Right, and I gotta say, we both have Disney antenna balls on our cars right now.
I love it. Good for you. Well, that's put two daughters through college, so I appreciate that.
Nice. Wow.
I think I may have put one of your daughters plus bought all her textbooks with all the antenna balls that we bought.
Well, okay. Well, good one. It all helps.
Yeah. Now, do you have any antenna balls on your cars?
I do. Yeah.
Which ones?
I always either have a Sorcerer Mickey hat, which is one of my favorites, or I have a Jack. I always have one on.
Oh, nice. I think I have a princess one on right now.
So it was your company that came up with the Jack in the Box antenna balls, and then you brought that idea over to Disney?
Correct. Yeah. And the funny story is, just in terms of what I just said about Jack in the Box, they're going to fall off and we're going to get sued. I took them into the merchandising people at Disney, and they had never seen these before. It was like a brand new thing. And I was able to point to the success that was already happening at Jack in the Box and say, look, they're selling these out. I mean, we can't make them fast enough for people. And the merchandising people, who hopefully aren't listening to this podcast, said, well, we're worried that people are going to steal them and they're going to fall off the cars and we're going to get sued. And I sat there and went, you got to be kidding me. and so they said, no, we don't want to do these. And I said, fine. And I walked them over to a wonderful woman I knew from having worked there, Patty Randall, over in Cast Activities. And I said, Patty, the employees are going to love these things. And she said, absolutely. Make me. I think the first batch was 5,000 of them or something. That's a fairly small quantity for something like this. And we did them for the cast, and she sold them in the Cast Activity store. And so what happened was the merchandising people, after a while, every day, as they would walk to their office, would walk through this forest of antennas that all had Mickey Mouse on the antenna ball, stuck on the antennas. So they watched it succeed with their own people, and eventually they called me and said, okay, never mind, Pat, come on over, let's do these.
Wow, that's using marketing to market. That's awesome.
Yeah, subterfuge.
Yeah, no kidding.
You can't argue with success.
Yeah, and then we started putting the hats on and doing all sorts of things to them.
Oh, I know.
Now, is dealing with the two of the hottest properties, whether it be Star Wars or Disney or both, is that challenging at times? Since I'm sure there's so many restraints and constraints with well-guarded characters.
It's funny you say that, because that really was part of the, I don't want to say problem, but one of the challenges, particularly with Disney, was we were offering a stylized version of the character. Just a black sphere with the black, it's very stylized. And when we did this, they weren't doing that much of that. I think maybe Frank Gehry had done some kind of stylized Disney merchandise, but it was because it was him that they allowed some changes in the characters. But I think they just kind of got wise that these characters were so iconic. I mean, it's almost like Picasso being able to mess with them, that you could do things which would just be, one of the ones, is a Mickey flying, that's just a round ball with hands sticking out in the front and his feet in the back, like, and there's no face, there's no nose, there's no eyes.
I totally have that, by the way.
Okay, well, there you go. So that that's where an intellectual property owner needs to be smart enough to allow that. But there's very few properties. I think maybe The Simpsons do that. you know, where they're just very stylized, you know, where you can just see a pair of eyes and go, oh, that's Homer.
Yeah.
You know, so it takes a long time to build that, but certainly the Disney properties have that.
Wow.
Now, in your opinion, what has been the best overall Star Wars or Disney campaign to date, either one that you worked on or outside of your company?
Boy, in terms of merchandising?
In terms of merchandising.
Well, you know, I'm excited about, and I'm kind of, you know, I'm going to be doing some TV stuff around this, about what's happening for the new episode, you know, the Disney's doing. I mean, I think that because of the electronics, you know, they have this little $150 droid that they've, you know, with the BB-8, I guess it is.
Yes.
That it's going to be, you know, I haven't played with one yet. Not dying to. You know, I like the new stuff, and I think that, you know, the difference is electronics. I mean, I think that, you know, I don't like them over electrified, but I think in that case, I mean, there's a perfect marriage of what the toy is being what the character is, you know, because so much of this is about character integrity, and you know that as fans, that if it doesn't feel like it has integrity, you're probably not going to like it.
Okay.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and these new things that are happening are very interesting to me.
Okay, so like The Force Awakens, you're like watching the marketing campaign roll out with interest.
It must be hard for you to watch something like this without your brain going into overdrive, going, I'd make this, I'd make this, I'd make that.
Well, you know, I kind of get to be an elder statesman now. I mean, I go on news shows, or I come on shows like yours, and we talk about, you know, the kind of the background. I think people are fascinated. I do executive and transition coaching as part of the business I'm in now, and part of that has to do with helping executives move into new fields.
Oh.
So I work with some studio people. I work with animators. I work with all sorts of people that maybe have kind of been left behind in terms of the entertainment industry. They're wondering, particularly in animation, you've got huge amounts of people have been let go by the studios recently. And so part of my kind of soul work, the work I do to feed my soul, is to coach these people into new jobs or new skills to stay relevant in this business. Because, as you know, it's a very young business.
Right.
Yeah, it's always changing every other day.
Yeah. So I go down to Comic-Con. I do, you know, I stay very, very, I'm not somebody that tends to dwell on the good old days. I like what's happening. I like the fact that, you know, the Academy Awards now has the best feature animation category.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, the 10 to 15 animated features are released a year, and that's mind-blowing. I mean, that's incredibly great. Lord of the Rings won Best Picture one year. So these are things that, you know, I mean, I'm a little older vintage than you guys, but, you know, they're unimaginable 25 years ago.
Right. Yeah, just with technology marching forward like it does.
So is that what you're working on now, you and your company, Incentive Plus Network, helping people transition from career to career in the entertainment field?
We do two things. My day job is still marketing for television and films. I still do that quite a bit. Some of that's merchandising. Some of it's just regular on-air marketing. And if people want to go to my website, it's patpattison.net, and it's Pattisson, patpattison.net. And they can sign up for a newsletter, and they can watch some video about this idea. The project's called Remade in America, and we have, you know, we work with people, and I interview people that have made career transitions. My emphasis is creative people. So, you know, it's primarily people that maybe have been doing something for a set number of years, and they want to transition into a new career that has some creative aspect to it.
Now, in terms of merchandising, can you give us any kind of idea of what you're working on?
Merchandising right now, let me think. It's I work on Super Bowl every year, so this is a sci-fi, but I work on Super Bowl. We're working on some Golden Globes stuff. I tend to do work for the Emmys. What else are we working on right now? We're working on a couple of new shows, some CW products. Yeah, mostly what the company's working on now is television properties.
Great.
And if people want to get a hold of you on Facebook or Twitter, can you give out those avenues?
Well, the Facebook, they just go to my Remade in America page. So it's Pat Patterson's Remade in America. And they can like that page. If they want to get my newsletter, they go to the website, to patpatterson.net, and they can sign up for a newsletter that's all about reinvention. I was recently one of the guest experts on the show on CNBC, Make Me a Millionaire Inventor. So I also work with people that invent things. So, part of somebody might have a good idea. They don't know how to go get a Disney license or a Star Wars license. I help facilitate that for them.
Wow, awesome.
Good to know.
Sounds like you're a good man to know.
Good to know.
I'm a good man to know, yes.
Nice.
Well, all right, Pat. Well, it has been nothing short of an education on fast food premiums, something that I've always held so dear to my heart.
Dude, have you managed to maintain your weight, though, Richard? Be careful not too much fast food, right?
You know what? We have a confession. We haven't been to a fast food restaurant in about 3 years.
Yeah, the weight was... Yeah, when McDonald's had all of their premiums, our weight spiked.
Yep.
And
yeah, they've gotten much better. A lot of them are much healthier now. But,
that's true.
Yeah, they certainly have been very good to me, and I love all the toys we've been able to do through the various fast fooders. It's been great.
Awesome.
I feel like my circle is now complete in life. Once again, I've always loved these premiums, so it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Well, I appreciate it. Now I'll go dig through my closet and look for that. What was it that you're missing?
I'm missing the Sith Holo projector.
Oh, the projector. Okay.
Yeah, I've looked on eBay. I've looked at swap meets, yard sales, collector stores, neighbors' houses. I can't find this anywhere.
I can't make any promises, but let me see what I can do.
Woohoo!
Well, much appreciated. And if you ever have another campaign about Star Wars or Disney or anything you want to talk about, please come back on. We'd love to hear about it.
I'd love to do that, Richard, sir. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Pat.
Shout-outs, Skywalker Shout-Outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
We want to give a huge thank you to our friend Russell Flores for sending us a Disney-themed Halloween card.
Super cool. Who can resist a Mickey pumpkin?
And he wanted to give a special shout-out to our ghost host, Dave Scale. So thank you, Russell, for that card. It really warms our hearts when we can get Halloween cards like that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Now, last weekend, it was New York Comic-Con, and Randy Martinez, our resident Star Wars artist who joins us for our popular classic Marvel Star Wars comics segments, was there, along with Denise Vasquez, who, of course, is a Star Wars artist and comedian. Well, they brought with them some of our coveted BB-8 ears buttons, and you could only get them by visiting Randy's table and saying the magic word, FORP! Well, it was so fun. We love when social media works. We love when this stuff works. So throughout the weekend, several of you made it a point to do just that and go to Randy's booth, see his wonderful artwork, meet Denise. And Denise actually tweeted out a ton of photos throughout the weekend of several of you with your buttons. So we want to give a big shout out to a few of you. Jonna Marie Macias of thewookiegunner.com, Mike Audette, who writes for Coffee with Kenobi, Gary Oransky of Fangirl TV, and then Mark Newbold, James, and Matt from Jedi News also stopped by, and several more. So thank you so much. And for those of you, those were tweets that I got from Denise Vasquez. So if you received a BB-8 button, tweet your pictures of those pretty buttons to @SkywalkingPod. And where do they live now that they're home? We want to know. We want to see some photo shoots.
And thank you, everyone, for going over and supporting Randy Martinez.
Yes.
We really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, it was super cool. We were glad that we could kind of do the synergy thing.
Yeah, cross-pollinate, do synergy. A crossover.
Yeah. It works out.
Help each other out.
Yes, there you go. All right.
So we hope you had fun at New York Comic-Con. By the looks of the pictures on Facebook, you did.
Absolutely.
And through you, we lived vicariously.
Yay.
And now, our Skywalker of the Week.
Chris Marino, Chris Marino, Chris Marino, Chris Marino, Chris Marino.
Chris Marino, we hope you enjoy your jingle composed by Rob Dellinger. Now, Skywalkers, if you want to be the Skywalker of the Week, you just have to have a fun social interaction with us, either on Twitter, on Facebook, or in person. And our resident composer, Rob Dellinger, will write that jingle for you. So head on over to robdellinger.com to hear a bunch of his music and creations. He's a great composer, and he also plays trumpet with
Stompy
Jones, who play
our favorite swing band from Disneyland.
Yeah, they play all over, but Disneyland is one of the places that they play at once a month, so it's really cool. And robdellinger.com is ROBDEHLINGER.
And Chris Marino, he came up to us at D23 Expo, and now he's the Skywalker of the Week.
Skywalking through Neverland.
It is always fun to hear how people celebrate Halloween in other parts of the world.
Adam O'Brien from the Jogcast Radio Network is here again with us to share some of his Halloween stories.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, guys. How are we?
We are good. You know what? I forgot to mention, you're from Australia, so you have a whole different point of view of Halloween.
We certainly do out here. It's not something that's always been followed out here, but it's growing with the years. Every year it gets more popular out here, and I think the kids growing up now will literally follow it just as much as you guys do, obviously, in the US.
Yeah, I know for us, for me, Halloween's always been a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Since day one. And when Sarah and I were over in England for our honeymoon, we were talking 2009, we're talking to some people, and they said, yeah, Halloween really wasn't a big thing over here until E.T. in 1982. And when people saw E.T. trick-or-treating, they said, hey, we want to jump on this bandwagon. So it became a thing little by little by little. Now, how long has it been a let's say, phenomenon over there?
It's been followed for at least about the last 20 years. So, I mean, it's not a new thing. But I think it's the increased number in the last probably 10 years, I'd say. Literally door knocking, people going around with it's a real family thing out here. So a lot of the people growing up, watch a lot of the US TV shows that come out here and movies, and they're sort of accustomed to the actual event through that. And I think one of the interesting things is that it really involves the whole family. So, be the mum and dad going around with the kids. They'll go and door knock and get what lollies they can and trick or treat, literally.
Now, when you were a kid, what were some of your favorite costumes?
Well, back when I was a kid, it was a number of different ones. One of the most extreme one was Dick Tracy. So when I grew up, it was, literally, it was taking elements of an Indiana Jones outfit that we had for a kind of a school event at the time, and then just grabbing a canary yellow raincoat, chucking that on, and then I'd go around and trick or treat, literally that way. I mean, that was one of the first costumes we did. And one of the other ones was Mr. T, which was kind of weird. It was, and again, we're talking about 1980s here. I mean, that's how old I am. So, early 80s, going around with, a friend of mine dressed up as Hannibal Smith and literally door knocking. It was quite an event. Then it was, as we grew older, it became things like stormtrooper outfits, and I got more into the Star Wars costuming. They weren't terribly good uniforms, but they sure scared people. That was the one thing that was great about them.
So at what year do you think it really took off? You're saying like the early 90s?
Probably late 90s, early 2000s. So probably around 2002 it really kicked in here, particularly in Queensland. And to give you an idea what Queensland's like, it's very much like probably LA, San Diego, that sort of environment. There's a lot of beachfront sort of properties. So, it's a very warm environment. People don't like to get into too much big costume because it is very humid out here. But I do have a couple of mates who, like me, big Star Wars fans from the 80s, who got like Wookiee outfits and Vader, and we literally just go door knocking around the place. And then a mate of mine had this idea is, hey, horror movies are really, really funny, man, but scary. And the idea was that we do, and this is well before Death Troopers came out, a Stormtrooper outfit, but covered in blood. And so we literally went, really, really quite twisted idea. And so they went to town with ketchup bottles and just doused this entire Stormtrooper outfit. And to see some of that, we thought people were going to be freaked out by it when they actually saw it. And, knock on the door, and this guy, we just got so many laughs from it. Everyone just doused us with heaps and heaps of lollies and stuff afterwards. So, it kind of had the opposite effect, but still scared some people.
And then you got candy from it.
Yeah, and they're asking, why does a Stormtrooper smell like a hot dog? He smells like ketchup. Put a little mustard on him, and he's a hot dog trooper. Out here, we start celebrating or
seeing displays
in stores around mid-August, which is kind of odd because it's still really warm and people are still going to the beach, but yet they can go to the store and pick up a Halloween pumpkin display. Now, out there, when do you start seeing traces of Halloween?
Halloween itself is one thing you don't really see in stores as such. I mean, you might see it in the candy stores or, even in the food aisles where we have in the supermarkets. They'll up everything and put like little witches out and stuff like that and around the aisles and really start to celebrate on that sort of a merchandising level. But it's not like in the US where I think you see it a lot more in store, and it has costumes as well where you can buy from Target, Kmart, all that sort of thing. But out here, it's more about the lollies.
Okay.
Now, when you say lollies, is that the same thing as candy?
Oh yeah, candy. Yeah. Out here, we always call it lollies. It's one of those things, and you'll have aisles and aisles of this stuff. Whereas, I mean, it's either chocolate bars, but I think, the biggest thing out here is just lollies in general is just nuts. They just overdo the aisles, and I think the kids go out there, fill up hats full of it because we've got this sport out here called cricket, which is a little bit like baseball. And the big helmets that people have, they just fill it with lollies, and that's what they usually give out. They'll be like, give it out to the people that come to the door, and that's how they sort of basically keep everything.
So a lolly could be a peanut butter cup or M&Ms or some Skittles?
Not just lollipops.
Yes, it covers everything. Lollies covers everything you call candy bar or candy in general.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. So I know you said you had a good time with your friend as Ketchup Trooper. Oh, hashtag that, Ketchup Trooper. What other Halloween stories do you remember from growing up?
One of the funniest ones was going through, this is about halfway into going into the event itself. So we go and fuel up on food and stuff like that. And we're going to like a KFC sort of thing. It was like a chicken place out here called Big Rooster. And so, basically got a drive-through, that sort of thing. And we're all dressed in character already. And so it's like that scene in Fanboys. You literally got a van going around and everyone at the drive-through window just looking at us crazy. And then when they saw the ketchup trooper, they're like, what the hell's going on there? And the guy says, Priceless says, you don't need no sauce with your chicken.
No sauce. Wow.
That's funny. Now, do you guys have like haunted houses out there that you go to and you pay admission, you go in for 5 minutes and get scared?
There's a place here on Surface Paradise, which is right on the water. It's our main waterway. And it's literally called Grundy's. And Grundy's is a place where they've got everything from computer games. They've got a shooting hall. They've got pool tables, all that sort of thing. So it's a real kid place. But what they had up there up until a couple of years ago was a literal haunted house inside. So it's like one of those haunted house rides. And it had a conveyor belt, had the entire ride for kids can jump inside. But on Halloween, that thing was decked out with vampires and werewolves and all goodness, monsters everywhere, And I think it's one thing. Everyone went there for Halloween, at least the lead up to, and go through there, get scared out of their wits, and then go and do their trick-or-treating.
Okay.
Nice. Now, Sarah, every December you watch this particular movie, Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yes.
And they have a Halloween scene. Because they're going through the seasons.
Yeah, apparently way back then, in 1901, Halloween wasn't about going to different people's houses and getting candy. Halloween was about going to people's houses and pulling pranks.
And vandalizing.
And vandalizing them. And all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, anything like that happen over there?
These aren't like misdemeanors. This is like, let's get your lawn furniture and burn it.
Well, I think if they have done anything when it comes to the trick side of things, it's always with a good tongue-in-cheek sort of humour to it. There's been some very funny ones, borderline criminal, but some of the most funny ones are there was a guy with I think it was years ago up in Brisbane. He had a can. It looked like a petrol can, and he was literally said, "Right, trick, yeah, okay, no worries." Runs out into the main door. He started pouring what looked like fuel on this guy's motorcycle. Ooh. And the guy come flying outside and obviously found that it was only water. Scared the taillights out of this guy. But I think that's the kind of thing where it has been, borderline. That's not prank. That's almost like scare somebody to death.
Yeah, that's crossing the line.
Yeah, that's bad.
When I was a kid, I would go to the doors, the neighbors' houses, and I would say trick or treat. And someone once said to me, "Okay, trick me." I was confused.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you know what? I wasn't prepared for this.
You don't realize what you're saying.
Not at all. And I was like 6 years old. And I recall the rest of the night, I'm just stumped going, you know what? I never really thought this through. What if someone else says trick me, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here.
Tell a joke?
Yeah. I maybe toilet paper their houses like I'd seen before. And I don't have toilet paper. I'm 6. Where am I going to get all this? So it was a very confusing night.
Aw, how sad. Well, what are some of the most common costumes you see there, Adam?
Harry Potter is without a doubt the most common one. The other one that's a very popular one out here, believe it or not, it's more common than anything, is Ash from Evil Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bruce Campbell character.
Like little kids dress as this?
Oh, not little kids so much. I think it's mainly the teenagers that will do that. Okay. As much as the little kids that you'll have things like Buzz Lightyear, things like that. I mean, I always think that a lot of these characters, I mean, it's dress up, but to me, it should always have that sort of scary theme to it, because that's what Trick or Treat's about. And but I think out here there's a lot of humor involved in what we do with Halloween. So I think people go for a more humorous sort of outfit. But yeah, a lot of Disney characters, believe it or not, it's a true thing that they do. I think Wizard of Oz, a lot of the characters in and around that, particularly the witches.
Wow. Now, in 1986, how many people dressed up like Crocodile Dundee?
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm guessing every second person did.
Yeah, they did. And the thing is, it's funny because they always get Paul Hogan's lines wrong, even out here. So, a lot of, because you probably, if you're obviously from the 1980s, you remember he used to do the old chuck another shrimp on the barbie, mate, and that sort of thing. But out here, it's prawn. So with shrimps, it's prawns out here. So it's funny, the actual ad and the way that sort of came out always came out funny. But as far as the outfit, yeah, very, very popular. And yeah, a lot of people bought the hat and the leather, vest and went out and tried to do the Paul Hogan pretty much. And a lot of the kids dressed up because that's a very popular series out here at the time in the 1980s.
Yeah, so when I say that every second person was Crocodile Dundee, that means the other person was a crocodile.
That would be funny.
Is Crocodile Dundee still a pretty big thing out there?
Not these days. I mean, you could ask a kid what that is, and they'll be like, "Who's Paul Hogan? I've never heard of him, mate."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've lost touch with that, basically because he's a little unpopular out here right now, unfortunately. So I think even going back to that, it was characters like Yahoo Serious, which was a guy in the 90s out here that did I'm trying to think of the name of the movie now. It's called Young Einstein. I don't know if that was popular in the States.
Yeah, we had that in 1989.
That's the one, yeah. And, he invented rock and roll, all those sorts of ideas that Albert Einstein apparently did. That was very popular out here, so everyone used to go and get dressed up with that. And particularly out here, we've got Movie World, which is a Warner Brothers theme park out here, and they still had the house that young Einstein had. And a lot of that sort of thing, it reflected on the kids, and they would go and dress up as this guy. So it was and that and Reckless Kelly, which is based in and around Ned Kelly, a famous outlaw out here in Australia, which is a guy who literally is Iron Man. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but he's literally had a huge metal can around his head. And back in the 1880s, he used to literally get shot at and all the bullets would just bounce off him. And he went around like Tony Stark, putting people down. But he's an outlaw. He's literally our Jesse James out here. And that was one character that a lot of people dress up as because it's cheap to make. You could make it out of cardboard, that sort of outfit. It was literally just a stapled bit of steel with a slit in the middle for the eyes. And, the rest was just, a couple of cap guns. And people would go around trick or treat, or I'll shoot you. That sort of thing. So, very the character.
Yeah, out here, if someone says that, they mean it.
Yeah. Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's did a movie back in 2004 called Ned Kelly.
Oh. It sounds vaguely familiar. But I gotta look that up. It sounds interesting. Sounds better than our Jesse James. Now, to take a small tangent here, you said that Paul Hogan was unpopular out there because of something that he did. What's up with him?
He used to be very popular out here with television. He had his own sort of a little bit like a Letterman show through the 1980s, and then he did a number of different movies. And in the 90s, he really hit his peak. So he did a movie. I think it was called Almost an Angel or something like that. A couple other movies, one with Cuba Gooding Jr., which was really good. It was a Western. But after that, he sort of fell off the radar. So I think he ran into some financial troubles and stuff like that and went overseas. And then nobody really just heard of him. And the next generation coming across, they're like, who's Crocodile Dundee? Who is this guy? And I think we've lost a bit of our cinematic history through that.
Yeah. I think I fell off board with Paul Hogan when he made Crocodile Dundee Goes to Los Angeles. It's like, all right, you know what? Now you're just jumping the shark here. Now, you know what? Let's get back to Halloween and Star Wars. Do you recall what your first Star Wars costume was and what year it was?
I certainly do. It was 1996, I think it was. I was 97, and it was a Jawa outfit.
Did your mom make it? Did you make it?
No, I made it. It was one of the ones we used to play role-playing games back then, the old West End ones. And we had a group that got together every Friday night. And we just basically had the idea, instead of doing role-playing, let's go out and actually do a proper Halloween. And we literally made the cheapest Jawa outfits. They were pretty terrible, actually, when you look back at it. And we had the little reflective orange sort of glowing amber lights and stuff like that. And we were looking around for, like, the Jawas have that little droid cooler and they have the little blaster thing. And so we went around with what was our version of Nerf back then. And trick was to get shot by Nerf.
That's awesome.
My very first Star Wars costume was 1977 when Ben Cooper made those plastic costumes where they had a picture of Darth Vader on his chest and with the little quarter mask that barely went around your face with the elastic that would break every 20 minutes. But when I put that costume on, I thought everyone looked at me and saw the Darth Vader from the movie. I thought I was Darth Vader.
That's so cute.
And I regret not having any pictures of that.
Oh, that would have been cute.
Back then, people just didn't have cameras the way they do now.
Oh.
Or iPhones.
Yeah.
Oh, we had iPhones. We just didn't have cameras back in 1977.
Well, my first one, I was probably 11. Well, I was either 10 through 12, one of those years. I actually don't remember. But I was Princess Leia, but I didn't want to be the regular Princess Leia. I wanted to be my favorite Princess Leia outfit, which is her Bespin Leia. So the red like jumpsuit with the white floaty cloak and her hair like that. I remember going to get hair extensions and braiding them and doing my hair like that, and it was fun. Then I go to people's doors and they wouldn't know who I was.
Oh,
I know.
What kind of uncultured neighborhood was this?
Pretty much, yeah, because I wasn't like the regular Leia. I had to be the different Leia. Yeah.
You could have the Cloud City music playing behind you.
I should have. Darn it.
Oh, man. I recall having a goal that for 10 years, every single year, I wanted to be a Star Wars character for Halloween. And, you know, toward the mid to late 80s, that was pretty hard because Star Wars had kind of gone to sleep at that point. So I think for the last year, I had a compromise, and I was Alf Skywalker. Because Alf was the big thing, and I loved Alf. And I got an Alf mask, and I had the Luke Skywalker Bespin fatigues. Like, okay, this still passes.
There you go.
Oh, good old Alf. No problem. No problem.
I still do love Alf. One of the greatest sitcoms ever.
It was clever. It was a clever show. And then you had that, what was that little cartoon that came out just after the series? And I remember because it's him trying to find Rhonda. He was like, I gotta find Rhonda, man.
Wow, you are an Alf fan. We'll need to do an Alf podcast at some point. But until we do that, tell people how they can get a hold of you on social media and the Jogcast Radio Network.
All right, so you want to catch Jogcast Radio on Facebook, you literally just search that in. There's a whole heap of different feeds. We've got one for Shannara Cast, which is one based around Terry Brooks. Shannara series. We've got another one for Star Wars Jogcast, which is facebook.com/SW Jogcast. And we've also got, that's our main area. We've also got a group page for anyone that wants to be involved in that. We give updates on what's coming up before we actually release it in the main media as well. We've also got, on Twitter, we're at Jogcast Radio. So you can get in there, and I literally will put up whatever's coming up show-wise, preview it there. We've also got, on my author side of things, which you'll see some articles with Star Wars occasionally, Ryan _writer, and that's also to cover a lot of my fictional work as well. But if you want to catch the main shows, we are on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're also on our main blog page, which is jogcastradionetwork.wordpress.com.
Awesome.
Jogcast has pretty much everything you'll ever need in a podcast. So thank you so much for doing everything that you do for all these fan communities.
My absolute pleasure. It's an honor.
Well,
nice.
The honor's ours. Well, Adam, until next time, happy Halloween.
Cheers, and you too. Have a good one.
Do you guys say happy Halloween, or do you say Merry Halloween?
No, we pretty much just say happy Halloween, simple as that. Or how's your Halloween going, mate? That sort of thing.
Nice. That's why we asked.
That's why we call you, to be cultured in other parts of the world.
The one thing about Australia, like if we're going to have like long, winded greetings and stuff like that, with Australian English, we just cut everything short. So it's like good day. To us, it's g'day. Things like that.
Yep. Nice.
You know what? You guys save time over there. You're efficient. I like that. So that instead of saying goodbye, I'm just going to hang up.
So many references to Star Wars and Disney, on TV shows from sitcoms to reality. Skywalking on TV, Skywalking on TV today.
Modern Family is back with its 7th season and more Star Wars references.
Always. So in the episode, The Day Alex Left for College, which aired on September 30th, Alex meets her new 15-year-old roommate.
And Alex's sister, Haley, she came along for moral support and I'm sure for some good ribbing.
Yep.
And she asks Maisie, the 15-year-old roommate, a little bit about herself.
So, Maisie, do you speak any languages?
Si, oui, za, yeah, and of course I also speak Wookiee. Ah, this is gonna be so much fun! Yay!
Now, who among us can claim that they speak Wookiee? I think just about everybody.
Of course.
So she'd be very welcome in the fan community.
Yes.
And now I want to hear from the contingency that can speak droid. And there are some more Star Wars references that we caught on TV that we just haven't had a chance to get to yet, but they are coming.
Ooh.
We're looking at you once upon a time.
You're the busiest bee in the fan community. You get around the galaxy enthusiastically. You're 0.5 past light speed.
Star Wars The Force Awakens is just 2 months and a few days away from the US release. Where will you be lining up?
Well, Ric Peralta of LiningUp.net, he's back with us to talk about the latest developments of his group and where will fans in the Hollywood and LA area be heading.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Richard and Sarah. Great to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Great to hear and see you too. Hey, we're waving at you.
Hey.
Now, when you were last on the show, we asked you to come back when you had something to report. Do you have something to report on LiningUp.net?
Indeed, I do. It's been a long, hard road here, but thanks to some tremendous efforts from the organizing team that I've been involved with here, we've had some great reactions from both the El Capitan and the Chinese theaters. More than we could have ever dreamed. When we started, we were afraid that maybe neither theater would even want us there because, again, the nature of lines have changed so much these days with online ticket purchasing and everything else. It's a whole different beast. And more than we could have ever dreamed of, both theaters really actively wanted us. And so we had a great opportunity presented to us from both theaters with amenities we never could have even dreamed of in a line before. And so we, as organizers, felt like it wasn't right for us to make the final call. And we opened it up to a poll that we ran over the weekend to see who that was actually interested in actively lining up with us and where they felt like hanging out for a couple weeks. And the polls closed just a couple of hours ago, and I'm proud to announce that the Chinese did win. Huh? And it was a nice heated battle, but the Chinese has won it all. And so at this point, we are actively setting up for an actual start date, December 5th on Hollywood Boulevard. We'll be there actually camping in the forecourt.
So there were certain camps that wanted to go to the Man's Chinese Theater because that's where it all began for every one of the films, well, except for Revenge of the Sith. But
we don't like to talk about that.
Even though we all still lined up at the Man's Chinese Theater, even though it didn't play there.
Well, the El Capitan was also quite popular as well. They were actually the first ones to come back to us with a really solid offer on what they wanted to do for us. And it was just incredible what they were offering. We were very public about listing what they came back to us with once we had firm offers from both theaters. And they were actually offering us actually like space in their windows at the soda fountain for advertising for the charity, which I'm proud to announce we also have launched here. The charity that we're going to be working with, once again, like we have with so many of our other lines, is the Starlight Children's Foundation. And they were also offering us a 24-hour campsite location, security, the works. It was really a great offer. Of course, the Chinese came back and offered very similar features, plus the bonus of actually camping inside the forecourt. That's never been allowed before.
Wow.
Every line has always been outside someplace, but they said, no, you can have our space inside. And that was a real big selling point for an awful lot of people. And not to mention, of course, all the other ways they wanted to support us. And, again, we mentioned before in our last chat about this, we're a little concerned about this El Nino year and what that might mean. And both offered full tenting for us in case we do have some serious rain conditions. Even if it gets biblical on us and we can't really stay there, the Chinese even offered for us to go inside the Man 6 or the TCL 6 now and hang out inside. So, we got a great offer for a great setup. We're going to do the 12 days. We're starting December 5th, so that gives us the 12 days of Star Wars. And just like to officially announce that as our hashtag starting off here right now, The Line Awakens. That will be our official slogan throughout. And, of course, hashtag 12 days of Star Wars, because we will be out there for 12 days. And we're hoping to have some special events and activities associated with each one of those days for all ages.
Aww.
Now, what was the split? Was it like a 60-40? Was it a 49-51?
Well, I knew that question would be coming, and we don't really want to get too deeply into that other than to say that it was actually quite a close count. And we're very excited with the number of people that voted because, again, we really didn't know exactly how big we were planning for here. Talking and negotiating with the theaters, realizing that tickets are probably going to go on sale before the line even starts, and how's that going to mean? How many seats are we going to need? And we're all over the map trying to figure out what that was going to mean. Could it mean that we're going to have 50 campers? Or could it mean that we're going to have 300 campers? We really don't know. But we actually ended up with well over 100 votes, and in a poll that ran for 72 hours. With only spreading it through Twitter and through our Facebook page, I feel like that actually is a pretty solid number given our previous campouts. We had in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 people at most lined up with us as part of our official organization. That's a pretty solid start. And, as word gets out here in this next couple of weeks, as we get closer and closer to actual line start date, and even after line start date, I'm sure there'll be people joining us. So we're running with pretty good numbers here.
So now The Force Awakens will play at the Man's Chinese and the El Capitan?
Well, I would first of all like to correct that it is the TCL Chinese. We have to be supportive of our supporters. But yes, it will actually indeed be playing at both theaters.
Okay.
Wow.
So know for that for sure. We will be getting the IMAX screening at the Chinese, and of course the traditional format over at the El Cap. We do know some special activities and other things that are planned, some official, some not official, so I don't really want to get into too great a detail, but we do know some amazing things coming up at both theaters, and even though we will not officially be lined up in front of the El Capitan, we do know that they're very generous in support still, and have asked us to be involved in any of their activities they have going in the lead up to the film. They are even supporting us in one of our thoughts here, and this is something that will still probably go out to more of a public consensus vote at some point. But because there was such a tight, close race here between the two theaters and where we wanted to end up, we're talking about maybe doing that first showing at the Chinese and then exiting that, walking right across the street and going straight into the next show at the El Capitan. And the El Capitan is supportive of that. They're also supportive of us if we want to do the light side, dark side line and truly have two first showing lines going at once. We can do that. So if we have enough people that are willing to camp overnight, we will have two lines going, and we will have the light side and the dark side, and they will be competing for the same charity to see which line can raise the most money.
Oh, fun. So which one would be light side and which one would be dark?
Well, the El Capitan has actually requested the dark side.
Oh.
So they said the dark side's cooler. So, hey, that's what they want. They can have it. So if we have enough people that are willing to camp overnight on a regular basis throughout this time, we will have that.
I was almost thinking that the Separatists would be going over to the El Capitan Theater.
Well, there was a moment there where we had such a strong offer initially from the El Capitan. It almost felt like the Chinese was more of that very movement. But we are coming together here really in a united front now to try to do something on a much grander scale than we've ever dreamed of doing in a previous line.
Wow.
So now, well, the dark side, can we also call them the Separatists? Just because I think that would be really funny.
Well, I'm actually thinking, the Separatists and the Resistance actually makes an awful lot of sense, even though that's truly more of the light side now. It sure sounds like it could fit. We'll see what ends up happening in terms of official hashtags for the line.
Well, then the Resistance would be going over the El Capitan then, because they're resisting.
Exactly.
And the First Order would be going over there to the TCL Man's Chinese Theater.
Yes, exactly.
Oh boy.
And and we're also proud to announce that our partnership here with the whole Starlight Children's Foundation, they have obviously a season of giving, as most charities do during the holiday season, and they are doing a 12 days charity raising as well. And they're actually starting out on December 1st. So your friend and ours, the main person who did so much hard work in negotiating so much of this for us, Sean Crosby, Obi-Sean, is actually going to be out there starting December 1st with our Starlight table, starting to raise money before the line actually launches. He'll be out there starting our fundraising activities. And eventually we'll be having online donations available where they can donate directly to Starlight in our name. Oh. And that site obviously has yet to be built because we're still have a few weeks to go before we have to worry about that component. But it's very exciting that we'll be able to raise for this charity in very new and inventive ways that we haven't been able to before.
Wow.
Well, I so love it when fans, whenever they do something as big as this, they always do it around a charity.
Yeah, it's something that, I think at one point it felt like it was just trying to give some sort of legitimacy to the activity of sleeping on the sidewalk for a month. But, in the end, it's really become a very key component for a lot of our line members. That's almost more important than the movie experience itself. It's more about what can we do for the charity. And that's what's been really interesting about the whole line experience going all the way back to Phantom Menace. In our prequel era, as kind of middle generation ones that were so young when the original films came out, and we did our campouts for these new ones, the prequels. It really, there were plenty of people, as you know, that are not terribly fond of the prequels. I won't necessarily include myself in that camp, but there are plenty that are there. Yet they continue to camp out with us. Yeah. They didn't care about how they liked the movies or not. They were having a blast on the sidewalk with us.
Yeah, it's not about seeing the movie anymore. It's about the fan community.
Mm-hmm.
And now, just like back with the prequels, it's also with the charity fundraising as well.
Absolutely. It really has become a very key component to what we're doing. And, obviously, as I mentioned, it's a very family-friendly event. It's always been that, but it's become even a little more so now that we have so many children of former line members now coming along. As you know, the infamous Eliza will be out there with us as well. And we're also talking about having, as you did with us this weekend here at the Star Wars Reads Days, having the pool noodle lightsaber fights for the kids and other ways of training. She's already been working on your skills that you were working with her so hard, teaching her friends yesterday even. Wow. So she's really hooked on to your training, Master Anakin there.
She is a worthy Padawan. Will she then reveal the voice of Chopper?
Will you reveal the voice of Chopper in line?
No!
That was a very good Luke no. I am very proud of it.
Just need to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Now, would it be too personal to ask which way you were leaning toward? The Chinese or...
Well, absolutely. I'll be perfectly frank on this. There was so much positive for both lines, and some of them were very positive in very different fashions. And quite perfectly honest, I didn't care. I didn't care which theater we ended up at. What mattered to me most was having as many people as possible come out again, whichever theater that was the least divisive, the one that was going to pull the fewest number away, and was going to do the most for the charity. That was what was really critical to me. What I wanted first and foremost was not so much that I wanted my daughter to see the movie at the Chinese like I did. I wanted her to experience the line like I did. And that was more important to me than the theater itself.
Wow.
Now, Sarah, which theater would you want to see
this
in?
Well, I read through the different things, and it just looked to me, actually, that the El Capitan had more in terms of marketing and promotion and stuff. I mean, just reading through what the offers were.
Okay.
I liked the El Capitan better, and then also I've got a Disney bent, so maybe that's why I was going toward it.
And reading through a lot of the comments from people that we didn't ask for anyone to speak publicly on this. We kept it private and hidden for a reason. Your vote was hidden. We just wanted to get some idea on how many were going to overnight, how many tickets people were hoping to get out of this. And the people that did speak publicly for the El Capitan were very much of the bent that, well, this is a Disney property now. We should drift over to where it's a Disney property. And certainly they did offer an awful lot in terms of some of the marketing angles, but they're still kind of offering some of those things. The opportunity possibly of obviously some of the shows like Jimmy Kimmel and Conan, obviously is not Disney, but he did all of his work when he was in New York with the Phantom Menace line, and he's expressed interest in trying to hang out with us again.
I would just be worried, or I don't know if worried is the right word, that he's going to want to come down and mock people in line like he did for Phantom Menace. And as much as I love Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla, I just took offense when they got in line and just mocked the whole thing.
Well, there was an awful lot of mocking, especially in the Phantom Menace line, but by we got along to the second and third lines, that did change a little bit. I had friends that were involved in a dating game with him on a show, and he became much more friendly to us. It was less mocking us and more. I think and publicly, you look at what he's done with his show, he's become a little more honest about his own kind of nerdism. And I think it makes sense that he's going to be a little friendlier to us. And he's actually, through Disney, we've had some reach outs and contacts from them. And again, also with Conan, he's actively reached out. Again, you guys know Obi-Wan, you know how publicly involved he is with everything. By the way, he says hi. But, he's already heard from several of the shows. I've already been in communication with the people from Kevin and Bean who have had some moments of truly mocking us in the past, but they're also admitted nerds. And, Allie McKay, their new news girl on the show, is a huge Star Wars fan. So she was very actively excited about this and keep me posted. So I have a feeling this creature will be a little bit different. And honestly, I think also the fact that it's Disney owned is also changing things a little bit. And the fact that we're all a little bit older and a little bit wiser, hopefully, certainly the creation of this line has been a completely different creature. Not only are we more aware of what we're doing this time around, and we're all a little bit older and have maybe some business backgrounds that can help out in what we're doing. We're approaching it from a logistical standpoint that we never even considered some of these things before. Outside of even thinking that well, it's our first true winter line for a Star Wars movie. We did winter lines for Lord of the Rings, and they had their own challenges, but this is a whole nother creature, and Lord of the Rings is nothing like the scale of Star Wars, not even remotely, at least when it comes to the filmic environment. And so we're quite excited about what we've managed to put together here, and knowing that even with us committing to lining up at the Chinese Theater, the El Capitan and Disney still want to work with us. And are still excited about what we're doing, and still are asking us to be involved in some of their pre-show activities. We have been told that they'll, like, for example, their Wurlitzer is going to be doing a Star Wars concert beforehand. And so there are even a few people on our line that are talking about, well, maybe we'll skip out of our line to go at least buy our ticket for that midnight show, go across there, catch that, and then leave so we can go see it at the Chinese. I mean, it's a whole nother creature. It really is.
Right. Now, being at the TLC Chinese Theater, or is it Man's Chinese TLC Theater?
TCL.
TCL. You know what?
You'll get it.
For the rest of this conversation, I'm just going to call it the Chinese Theater, okay? I
I'll
don't mean to
accept
offend
that.
anybody, but that's when I grew up, it was the Chinese Theater.
Yes.
Now, if you guys are going to be sleeping in the forecourt, camping out, who already has claim on the R2-3PO Invader footsteps, their footprints?
That's a very good question that we have not discussed as of yet. Somebody has actively said that they are taking the George Clooney steps because it's a lifelong dream. But I don't know about the rest of it.
All right,
Wow.
I call dibs. I've said it right here, right now on Skywalking Through Neverland. And that still leaves open George Lucas's footprints and Harrison Ford's.
Well, as you can see, I am growing out my Lucas beard in commemoration here. So,
nice.
I think maybe I'll have to take the Lucas.
Okay.
Well, see, if only I can rest my head on Harrison Ford's handprints, I'm good.
You'll probably be sleeping next to my wife then.
No, not sleeping.
One hand for both of them. Well, you know what? Then I'll have the whole R2-3PO Invader footprint slab. That's big enough.
There you go.
All for myself. Now, has there been any talk about forming lines for the Star Wars anthology story films?
Actually, yes. That's actually one of the things that we're part of in our latest phase of negotiations. Now that we settled some components of this, we're actually talking about doing alternating. And so next year it'll be the El Capitan. The year after that, back to the Chinese, and we'll just keep going on and on as long as they're Star Wars movies. And as we age, every time we do a new line, we gain dozens of new members. And so we'll, there could be a point where we truly pass it on to the next generation. We'll see. But for now, we are actively planning out for several years to the future here.
Wow.
You guys are very well organized.
Yeah, I'm excited to join you. Are we joining them, Richard?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I've already got my slab claimed.
And I need my Tauntaun sleeping bag.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Especially laying there next to Han, right?
Yep. There you go.
I'm gonna bring my Wampa rug, my desk. I'll have a lamp right over there, and I get my laptop.
We've actually, there's so many exciting things happening here that we've never even dreamed could happen at the Chinese. Like, for example, sleeping actually in the forecourt. They're actually gonna basically cordon it off from like midnight to 6 a.m. So that's our camping zone.
Wow.
We break camp at 6 a.m. so they can open the theater back up and have people coming in to see the steps, the footprints. But they're also talking about really significant things that we never would have even conceived of, like maybe having Obi-Shan's Z-Wing actually parked inside the forecourt.
Whoa!
We could have even dreamed of that. So there's some really fascinating, exciting things that is just beyond our wildest dreams.
Awesome! Wow.
Yeah, well, does that mean
cool.
I can drive up my Toyota RAV4 there too?
It's got some Star Wars stickers.
Yeah, the Star Wars sticker
I mean,
on it.
my car's license plate is R2-D2. I don't think I'm going to get into that forecourt.
Mine's the Clone Wars.
Yeah, Sean holds a very special position.
If anyone should be parked up in that forecourt, it's going to be Obi-Shan.
Yes.
Yeah, it's incredible. I really can't say enough about the hard work that he put in the negotiation process for most of this time. Obviously, we all have regular 9-to-5 jobs. He was the one that was able to get down there and do some in-person contacts in the middle of the week, touring theaters, touring actual line locations, talking to theater presidents and management. And we also have a very, very close friend of the line. She lives actually in London. but she was in one of the earlier lines, and she had the opportunity to talk to IMAX for us to get things started at the Chinese, to really get that ball rolling, and then Sean was able to get in there and kind of finish up kind of seal the deal, so to speak. So it really did work out incredibly for us, and I can't go on enough about how much better this is turning out than we hoped it would.
Wow. Well, it's super exciting, and I love your hashtags. So, hashtag The Line Awakens and hashtag 12 Days of Star Wars.
There you are.
Make sure to hashtag those, everyone. And how can we find you on social media, Rick?
If anyone's got any follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Of course. So, we have, obviously, as you might expect, all the different sources. So, we have Instagram and Twitter both up at Line Up for the number 4, Star Wars. And we also have, of course, our Facebook page where the vast majority, the bulk information's hitting, is lining up for Star Wars. And we are dumping as much information as we can as it comes along. Obviously, we're still sifting through a lot of stuff. We were worrying first and foremost about choosing that theater. Next step is figuring out our tickets, and then worrying about from there some of the logisticals of actually setting up that camp on December 5th.
All right. Well, sounds like you guys have it all in hand, and it was so nice to talk to you again.
It's always great to talk to you guys. I feel like we're starting to become family here. Seeing you, this was like 3 times this weekend now.
Yep.
We are one big happy Star Wars family.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, once again, once you have more news, please come back to Skywalking Through Neverland. I'd love to hear it.
Every time I have anything to say to you guys, anything I got news, you'll be first on the list.
All
okay.
right.
One more question I have. Who's the voice of Chopper?
I can't tell ya.
Oh, darn it. Every time.
I think you're going to be working long and hard on that, and I'm not sure it's ever going to happen.
Challenge accepted. Tell her if she wants to go to a good college, that's going to be on the resume.
Skywalking through Neverland.
Before we wrap things up, I want to mention a few places where we are going to be, and you can meet up with us. Now, if you go to Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook page and click on the events tab, you can actually subscribe to our events so that you'll always get a notification when we add a new event, which all the events are meetups, which are exciting. So we want to just mention a new event that I just added, and that is for November 16th, Season of the Force begins at Disneyland. So we will be there all day. And our favorite part of this, we want to do a meetup at one point during the day. It'll be at 5:15 p.m. at Hyperspace Mountain entrance. Because the meetup, you know what it's called? Waiting in line for Hyperspace Mountain. We figure it's going to be a long line, so we might as well make it fun and meet up together and all wait in line together. And then we all ride Hyperspace Mountain together.
We have this page up on our computer screen right now, and it's fun to see the people who keep clicking on the Going tab.
Yeah, I think we added this event about half an hour ago.
Max Cervantes, he just joined.
Nice, yeah.
Hey, Max.
Yeah, exciting, yeah. And what's fun is my fangirl friend, Tricia Delgado, will be there with her husband. And, she's my co-host on Fangirls Going Rogue. Well, she and her husband were planning this trip to Disneyland, and it just so happened that Season of the Force was beginning a day after they were going to leave. So they actually changed their trip, rolled it back so that they could be a part of Season of the Force. So they will be there too. It's going to be exciting.
Not that it's funny, but imagine if they couldn't. Oh, that would just be horrible.
That would be. They would leave the day before Season of the Force. But no. So they are going to be there.
Good deal.
Yeah. So it'll be super fun, and we are excited. And if you want to see the other meetups we're going to have, please check out our event page on Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook page.
All right, Skywalkers. Well, once again, happy Halloween and happy trick-or-treating. We hope you come along with us to some of our favorite podcasts like Window to the Magic,
Muppet Cast,
Assembly of Geeks,
Techno Retro Dads,
Coffee with Kenobi. So once again, listen to all those shows. You're going to hear ours. And then you can hop over there to Muppet Cast, and there's one out last Sunday, October 11th. Our segment will be on theirs. Window to the Magic, their segment will roll out October 19th. Assembly of Geeks, October 14th. Coffee with Kenobi, October 16th. and Techno Retro Dads October 19th. Listen to all those shows. You'll listen to the segment called the Trick-or-Treating Spooktacular Podcast Crossover Contest. And with each podcast, you will get a clue. And Sarah, what is our clue again?
Our clue is 2.
Our clue
is
2.
Oh, it rhymes.
Gonna hashtag that.
I know.
Our clue is 2.
Well, they have to listen though to get it. So, yay!
All right. So with that, everyone, please don't forget to send us in your favorite fan moments. Email them once again at share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com and do it within a minute. Well, we want to thank everyone for participating in this show, like Pat Pattison, Ric Peralta, Adam O'Brien, and we want to give another shout out to Rob Dellinger, who writes us all these jingles every single week.
Yes.
Thank you, Rob.
Yes, yes. And now remember those BB-8 Mickey ears that are on buttons? They're also on t-shirts, and that design is available on tpublic.com. So if you head on over to skywalkingthrough-neverland.com and click on the support tab, you will find many ways, many links to use to shop on the internet that actually supports us as well. So that TeePublic link is there along with her universe and also Amazon.com. So super exciting.
Now, if they want to reach out in other ways, how would they do that?
Oh, yes. If you enjoyed this show, if you have thoughts on this show, please. On Twitter, we are at SkywalkingPod, as well as Meerkat and Periscope. We are at SkywalkingPod. On Facebook, search Skywalking Through Neverland. And on Instagram, I am Jedi Tink, and all the Skywalking Through Neverland stuff goes there too. And email us, please. share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com.
And if you haven't liked us already, please do, because we're trying to hit the 5,000 mark by The Force Awakens.
Yeah, we are almost there on Twitter, you guys. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Our Facebook page, it's just harder to get likes on Facebook. I don't know what it is, but we share a lot of things on Facebook, including like history. So
This day in Star Wars history.
and this day in Disney history too.
And you know what? While we're here, let's give a huge shout out to Donald Wicks and Joey Pittman for constantly updating our Facebook page.
Yeah, they are great admins.
They are on it.
We always appreciate when they post, as well as us. Like our Facebook page is just chock full of information and fun and pictures and news. So
And once again, these guys are on it.
Yeah.
Just before the news happens, they're already posting it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
That's great.
All right, everyone. Well, happy Halloween. And remember,
NeverLand on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Have you left an iTunes review yet? Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Segment producers are Dave Parfit, Dave Scale, and Norma Heitman. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant, Mark Ogushowitz. Technical advisor, Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators, Donald Wicks and Joey Pittman. Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, copyright 2015. All rights reserved.
sorry, it had to be said.
This is what you can look forward to, man. I'm just kidding. All right.
That's going in the blooper reel.
My mic wasn't working. I was getting upset.
So what do you do when something's upsetting you?
Meh. I revert to a child. Because when I was a child, I was a little adult. All right, are we ready?